Do you know who Mike Malloy is?
I don't believe so.
Well, I'm going to tell you all about it. This is Mike Malloy.
Mm.
Mike Malloy had a murder plot against him.
Oh.
Mike Malloy was a bit of a drunk, and it was a problem because he was running up quite the bar tab.
Oh.
This was in the 1930s, uh, after the Great Depression, and things were very bad in New York City. And Mike Malloy had been in a really rough spot. He was a former firefighter. He was from Ireland. He'd moved to the US for a better life, but didn't really find a better life.
Mm.
Because of the Depression, he'd been unemployed, he was homeless, and he was an alcoholic. And the speakeasy that he typically hung out at had about had enough of him. This was a place called the Mermaid.
Mm.
The Mermaid was owned by a guy named Tony Marino. And
Mm.
Tony was the proprietor of that establishment, but Tony was also a murderer. Tony had discovered a few years before this that he could scam life insurance. And there was a
Mm.
homeless woman named Maybelle that was often in his establishment. And he thought, nobody would miss her. She has no family or anything. So he took out an insurance uh, policy on her.
Mhm.
And then he fed her so much alcohol and left her in front of a window, unconscious on a very cold night, and let her die.
Good lord.
And he collected big time. The equivalent would have been about $130,000 today.
Oh my gosh.
Well, as you can imagine, he ran through that money pretty quick. So, in come Mike Malloy. Mike also is homeless and has no family and nobody that seems to care about him. And he decides yet again, this is the answer to my problem. But he brings in a friend who's an undertaker
Ooh.
who says, hey, no problem. We'll split the life insurance money and I can get him picked up and buried in no time and get a death certificate and we're good to go. So that's the plan. Well, the problem was that wasn't the only person that wanted in on the take.